Before we start today's video, I just want to give a huge thank you to all of my members on YouTube for being obviously members. I know that I've been kind of away and I haven't been able to do as much, and for that I do apologize. And I would like to offer an opportunity for my members. That is, I would like to do a one-on-one video maybe with each member, trying to figure out what your guys' views of the game are, kind of like what I did with Lord Shaka. If you guys are interested in that, do let me know in the comments below or in the Discord channel, since you guys should be there. Again, thank you guys so much to all of my members. You guys are greatly appreciated, and I promise I will have multiple videos out for you very shortly. And the second group of people that I would like to thank before we move into the content is going to be my in-game players, my alliance Trev. I absolutely love you guys. You guys are fantastic. I wouldn't ask for a better group of people. And I would also like to thank all of our Season 2 faction mates or alliances such as Kings and Queens, DX, VX, and players in particular such as Prince Killer, Radiant, Boo Boo, Mayor. You guys have all been great. Mega Mew as well. Fantastic. I love all of you guys. And yeah, that's pretty much the only messages I have, and enjoy today's video. Thank you. Hey, what's going on, guys? It's Jelly here with yet another video, and today's video is going to be an in-depth deep dive into tank heroes, what they are, what they're about, how they work, all that fun stuff. And we're just going to go through them one at a time. A couple of disclaimers. I know that I was gone for a few weeks. I'm so sorry. I had real life stuff going on. Unfortunately, that does take precedence, and I was not able to make content for a few weeks due to a couple of different things. My own health, my child's health, and a couple of other things came up across the way. And with all that being said, I don't want to spend too much time on it. I kind of just want to continue and move forward. Second disclaimer is that this is not going to be a hero guide, for example. This is going to be an in-depth guide specifically for tank. If you want a normal hero guide, you can go watch my hero guide that I posted months and months ago at this point. I think like 7 months. Go ahead and watch that. It's going to be my second video in. And then you can always come back to this if you decide that you want to have tank as your first squad or your primary squad. But without further ado, let's just kind of jump into it. Tank squad, tank heroes. We all know them. We all hate them mostly. The thing is they're the most used heroes, the most used squad in the entire game, and there is multiple reasons for that, and we're going to go over a couple of them in just a second. What are the main heroes for the tank squad? Well, firstly, you're going to have Murphy, Kimberly, Williams, Marshall, and Stetmann. Those are going to be your 5 primary heroes. Now, there are a couple that become UR later on, such as Violet, such as Mason, and Scarlet, but we're not going to be talking about heroes like that today. We're not going to be even putting them into the same grouping because, unfortunately, for the average player, you're not going to be able to change them into UR until pretty much 2 or 3 weeks into Season 1. It's not worth it to talk about. This is going to be to help you decide if you want to roll with a tank squad. Now, there are a couple of things to discuss when it comes to squad typing, whether you want to do this or whether you want to do that. A couple of things are going to be this. There are 3 different echelons of heroes. So there's going to be defenders, which are, again, more capable of taking damage. There's going to be attackers, which are obviously more capable of dealing more damage. And then there's going to be a 3rd tier of character, which there is not a lot of these, but there are going to be supports, which is what I call them. They provide diverse buffs to teammates. Now that we know that the 3 basic types, we've already kind of discussed in my original hero video that there are a 20% buff. It's like a rock, paper, scissors. If you come over here and you look at it, as you can see here, up here is this rock, paper, scissors. Tank beats missile, but it loses to air, and there's a 20% buff. If you're a tank squad going up against air, they have a 20% buff over you. If you're a tank squad going against missile, you have a 20% buff over them. And if you're a tank going against a tank, that's pretty much it. That you're just a tank going against a tank. Basic information that I wanted to run through rather quickly. Another thing that's kind of basic information, but it does fly under the radar often, is that there are 2 types of damage that the game has to offer. There's physical damage and then there's energy damage. Now, there is a huge distinction between the 2, and we're going to discuss why that matters so much, especially in the tank squad. So, majority of heroes do energy damage, a majority of the DPS that you can buy, and since there is going to be 8 DPS heroes that you unlock through Battle Pass, through buying it, whatever you want to do, we're going to talk about them. It's going to be DVA, Morrison, Schuler, Kimberly, Swift, Tesla, and Stetmann, and Fiona. I don't really like Fiona, but regardless. Of the 8 DPS heroes that you can buy, 3 of them are going to be physical damage, 5 of them are going to be energy damage. That means that you probably are going to want more of an energy damage focused defense, or just, I guess, in general, overall, you're going to want defense for both. And that's important because going into our first hero, let's talk about Murphy. Now, I'm not really going to go over the auto attacks for any of these heroes' skills because they're all pretty much the same. There are a couple of differences though, and we're going to go over them really quickly on Murphy. So Murphy has the auto attack. I don't really need to read this. He does damage, but the thing that he has in his auto attack that does separate him from the rest of the crowd is going to be this mitigation tactic here. Mitigation essentially reduces the damage received from the next auto attack, and it disappears after taking one auto attack and can stack up to 3 times. So if you get hit by your opposing team and Murphy gets hit by the auto attack there, he's going to get a token or a stack. What that stack is going to do is that the next time he gets hit by an auto attack, it's going to reduce the damage. We'll just say by 20% for the sake of the video. It's going to reduce that damage by 20%. Now that is really nice. Mitigation is a great tactic to have. Overall, I think this is the best thing that he has out of all of his skills. Maybe second. We'll go over that in just a second. But mitigation, overall, I like it. However, again, auto attack, I don't really care for. It means nothing, especially in defenders primarily, but it doesn't really mean much in general because a lot of the auto attacks are the exact same thing. Let's go over what should be his best skill, and that's going to be his tactics. The problem with the skill is you guys can read just like I can. Upon releasing the skill, reduces your front row's physical damage taken by 26%. On the surface, sounds great. However, when you look into it, physical damage, front row's physical damage, and then it does increase to being the entire squad once you get him up to 4 stars. But again, that means nothing. Let's talk about this physical damage one. And this is why Murphy is so hated among the community, and for good reason. With a majority of damage or majority of heroes doing energy damage in the game, you would probably want energy defense, especially on your tank heroes. Now, the reason that's such a big deal is because let's compare him, or let's just say 26% is what he has in the front row, but it's only for physical damage. That means if you have anybody doing energy damage, such as let's say you're facing an air squad, when 2 of their 3 heroes do energy damage, his buff does nothing against 2 of the 3 heroes. 2 of the 3 heroes are going to shred him like he doesn't have a third buff. It means nothing. And that's the problem I have. And it's not just him. That buff is supposed to affect the entire squad. But if you're facing energy damage dealing heroes, it means nothing. It's such a useless skill because it doesn't do anything practically. Now, the one time it is useful is when you are facing a tanks or a missile squad, because 2 out of the 3 missile heroes that are DPS do physical damage. But the flaw even there is that tank already has the upper hand against missile, and you're just continuing to build that gap with this skill. There's a lot of questions to be had with it, and I wish that they would just rework the skill in general. I don't think they ever will, but that is probably the worst skill in the entire game. I don't think it's close. Although, actually, there is a couple of really bad ones, but this is the worst tank skill by far and away. His second skill, or his second useful skill, is going to be his passive, which is reduces all damage taken in battle by 16% for your entire front row. I do think that this is an alright skill. I like the fact that it's the entire front row and not just focused on one hero. I do wish it was a little bit better than 16%, but beggars can't be choosers. That's not the worst thing ever. Murphy, you can get him completely for free. He's the very first hero you can get, and again, completely for free. You can get him for spending 50 tickets on day 1 of the server unlocking. That's really the positives that he has going for him. He's also the second tank hero to get exclusive weapon. Only Kim gets hers before, so he's pretty quick with his exclusive weapon. And again, you can just upgrade him really, really easily because he's the first hero to get in the tavern, and he's the only hero for like 30 days. And then he's one of only 2 heroes for like 70 days. So you're going to end up with a lot of Murphy shards, a lot of Murphy puzzle pieces. So he is pretty easy to upgrade, and he's pretty quick to upgrade. Those are a couple of great pros about him, but overall, I don't really care for the guy. Oh, and also because I feel like I didn't spend enough time ripping into just how bad this skill is, right? I talked about how it's great against missile, right? But here's the problem. You face an air, you're at a disadvantage of 20% already, and 2 of the 3 heroes aren't affected by this. Now you're putting them at an even bigger disadvantage. And then it's not even talking about if you're going against another tank squad. All 3 tank heroes before Mason becomes UR all do energy damage. All 3 of them. So tank against tank, you're at a disadvantage. Tank against air, you're at a disadvantage. Tank against missile, you're at an advantage. Great. However, if you're facing a missile squad, you're more than likely facing a whale, which means you're at a disadvantage. Awful. I hate the skill that much. I could sit here and cry about it all day. Let's go over the second tank hero that you get, which is going to be Kimberly, and you could technically get her before you get Murphy if you spend the 99 cents or whatever it is. She is really cheap. There's a lot of great pros about Kimberly. She's highly regarded as arguably the best hero in the entire game, and mainly because of her just tremendously high attack skill. And now, granted, she does have the exclusive weapon. If I were to compare her to even Tesla, for example, it's higher than Tesla's base. She's a great DPS. You get her really early on, which means, again, kind of what I talked about with Murphy, you can upgrade her really easily for a really long time with all of your universal shards. She's a great hero, fantastic option, and I would argue, in my opinion, she's my favorite hero, even though I don't like tank. So there's a lot of great pros with Kimberly. I'm not, again, going to go over her auto attack in general. You can read that. But the one thing is, on a critical hit, Kimberly gains 1 stack of energy amplification up to the number of tank heroes in the squad. So that means that the more tank heroes you have in the squad, if you're running a 5 out of 5, you're going to get more tokens. So boosts Kimberly's energy damage dealt by 3%, stacking up to 15%. What that means is essentially if you hit 1 critical hit and you have all 5 tank heroes, you're running a 5 stack, you're going to upgrade her damage by 15%. Another 15%. Fantastic. I love that a lot. I think energy amplification is great, and it makes an OP hero even that much better. Now, there are a couple of downfalls with both of her 2 skills up here, and you're going to see it says random enemy and random enemy. I don't like that too terribly much. I don't think it's the worst thing in the world because I think the opportunity is there to attack the back row heroes. Taking out their DPS heroes before their defense is nice to an extent, but it also means that you could just have her, she could be hitting the tank every time. She could be hitting a DPS every time. The instability of knowing where she's going to attack does actually change the outcome of battles. I've noticed it myself in, battle reports. Same thing with some of these other skills. The just randomness of it definitely does have, it's a quirk, right? It does throw a wrench into your plan. So great skill. I just wish it wasn't random. I wish it had like a set skill or a set player, maybe the back middle or the highest DPS, highest defender. I wish it had a set player for any of these skills. Overall, though, kind of just like her DPS, I don't need to go into this too much. Like, I don't need to go into depth too much. This is just essentially firing rockets at a random enemy, and it does X amount of damage. I think each rocket does that much damage, which is fantastic. But by the way, for people asking, I'm fairly confident. I never actually got an answer for this. I'm fairly confident that this 236% damage is what her base damage is times 2, if that makes sense. Like, I think it's 236% of her base damage. So I think that answers a question a couple of people probably have had in the past, but yeah, that's a little quirk, a little tidbit of information for you guys to know. And then passive boosts his hero's energy damage by 27%. That's okay because she does energy damage. I wish she wasn't so selfish, and I wish that she would just boost everybody's, but so be it. It is what it is. And overall, a decent skill. I think she's got 3 great skills. I wish the randomness wasn't random. I know that sounds weird, but that's what I wish. Overall, I like her though. I think she's a top 3 hero in the game. And also, again, you can get her really early on and you can power her up really fast and a lot. It just makes her that much more overpowered. All right, let's go over the third hero that you get for tank, and that's going to be Marshall. Now, there are a lot of things. I was going to say good, but they're not always good depending on which light you're looking at it. There's a lot of things with Marshall that do make him a unique hero. Number one being is that he is not an attacker. He is not a defender. He is a support hero. Now, there are obviously pros and cons with this, and we'll go over them in just a second. But overall, a couple of great things about Marshall is that, firstly, he is the second hero to become completely free, and at day 22 is when you can buy his battle pass, but at day 29 or day 30, he actually goes into the ticket pool. So he's a second hero that you can get completely for free. That is a really nice thing to have, especially for people that don't have a lot of money to spend or don't want to spend a lot of money. So that's great there. The second thing about Marshall that is good is that he's a plug and play option. You can put him anywhere. He is great for a lot of different scenarios, such as Code Boss. He's great for PvP. He's great for holding down certain things. There's a lot of great things with Marshall overall. I do think that it could be better, but those are kind of the pros that I wanted to get out of the way. Now, I kind of already leaked what I was trying to say, but with him being a support, it puts him in a different role than many other heroes, and that is he can kind of play any role. Now, he's not going to be the best at any role, obviously, because he's kind of a jack of all trades. He's not a jack of all trades, master of none. You can put him as a defender. He's not going to be great. You can put him as an attacker. He's not going to be great, but you're not putting him in there for his attack or his defense. You're putting him in there for his skills, and his skills are fantastic. Obviously, his auto attack, I don't care. I'm not going to read too much into these. It just does damage to whatever hero along his path. I think that means that if it's directly across from him or whatever spot he's in, he's going to do that damage too on the opposite side. Could literally just mean whoever, he's attacking. But his second skill is great. Upon releasing this skill, boosts your entire squad's attack by 15%. This is fantastic. And if you look into the second star here, it increases the crit rate by 10%. Fantastic. And obviously the duration is 8 seconds. I absolutely love this skill. I think it's fantastic. I don't think there's a lot of skills in the game better than this. And this is why people run him as a defender, and then they'll have a third attacker, whether that be EVA or if they have still a full tank, they'll put Mason in the back row because Murphy's just that bad. They'll put Marshall as their other defender. There's a lot of different plug and play options, but this skill is the main reason why people do that. And it allows you guys to just do so much more damage. You're going to not only have the damage of Marshall, which is higher than your average defender, but now you're having 3 attackers with higher than Marshall attack, and they're all being buffed by 15%. Just overall, you're going to be doing a lot more damage a lot quicker. This is great for Code Boss, particularly. It's great for zombies. It's great for like Goldies, stuff like that. It's great for bosses, monsters, and stuff like that. PvP, not so much, because a lot of the times you're running against 2 defenders, and both of those defenders are able to kind of just all the attack that you guys are doing, all the damage. If you have no other option, or if you hate Murphy that bad like I do, Marshall's not a bad idea to run as a second defender for your tank squad. His third skill is actually also pretty good here, which is going to be his passive. In battle, increases this hero's skill cooldown by 28%. That essentially means that this is going to be faster. His cooldown here for his buff is going to be a lot faster, and that just means that more often, more people are going to be doing damage. A great opportunity for more there. And then also the second part of this also reduces all damage taken by the allied target with the highest attack by 11%. I do believe that means that essentially if you have Kimberly in your squad and she is your highest DPS hero, he's going to decrease all damage that she takes by 11%. Great skill overall. I like both aspects of that. I would say that, again, that's also a top 10 skill. I think that he has 2 top 10 skills. You could argue that he has 2 top 5 skills, but we're not going to go too much into that. I think they're both great. The fourth hero that you're going to unlock is going to be Williams. Now, Williams is a fantastic defender. He is the best tank defender that you'll have by far and away. It's not even close. If you could have 25 of Murphy versus 1 Williams, I am taking half of Williams. I'm not even taking the full. I'm just taking half. I hate Murphy that much. Regardless, his skills are fantastic, and they are just a leg above, a huge leg above Williams or Murphy, and we'll talk about it. His auto attack, I'm not going to go into detail on it, but then let's go into his tactics here. Let's look at his buff. Upon releasing this skill, boosts the defense of 2 targets in your own front row, so both defenders, by 45%. That is double what Murphy has to offer. And if you noticed, it doesn't say physical, it doesn't say energy. It says overall defense. That's fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. Now, if you also read down just a little bit, which is going to be the 3rd star, this effect applies to the entire squad. That means that it affects everybody. And while on Murphy that may not have been a big deal, on Williams it is, because you're facing a lot more, you're more likely to face energy damage than you are anything else. And of all the heroes that do damage to the back row, Stetmann, Tesla, Kimberly, Schuler, all do damage to the back row, and his buff is going to pretty much counteract that, whereas Murphy's buff, which affects all characters, all heroes in the squad, is only for physical damage, and none of them do physical damage. They all do energy damage. So this buff works fantastic. I love that it affects the entire squad, and also it lasts 10 seconds, which is 2 full seconds longer than Murphy's. Just overall, by far and away, so much better. Again, another top 10 skill here. Probably the best defensive skill that the entire game has to offer. I love it. Also, his second one is reduces all damage taken in battle by 25.5% for this hero. It is a bit selfish, but again, you're just keeping him alive longer, which in turn means that he can do this tactics more. And if you have Marshall as your other defender, he's going to essentially reduce the cooldown time, or he's going to have his own skill, which is just a never-ending fight. I absolutely love this. Williams is a fantastic option. You have to have him in your squad. Finally, the last here that you're going to get is Stetmann. Now, there is a lot of hot debate between Stetmann and Kimberly, who is actually the higher DPS. And my simple answer is who gets their exclusive weapon first? It's going to be Kimberly, 4 seasons faster. Kimberly should be your number 1. Now, that doesn't mean Stetmann's bad, because Stetmann is fantastic. If you look at Stetmann's overall, his attack is 96.1k. And if you come over here to Kimberly, it's 95. So Stetmann has a higher base attack, and Kimberly has an exclusive weapon. Now, again, a lot of this comes down to what are you going to have more access to? And the true answer is going to be Kimberly, because you're going to have her almost 70 days faster than Stetmann, or 60 days faster than Stetmann, which means that your ability to upgrade her is a lot easier. And also Stetmann, you have to buy. You're not going to get him free for a long time. Overall, Kimberly is probably the better hero. However, Stetmann's pretty good. Now, Stetman's auto attack is an auto attack, great. But his second thing is shoots 3 electric balls, each dealing energy damage equal to 476% of attack to a random enemy. Again, the randomness I hate. I kind of want to go back to this other one. And I want to show you guys something cool about this skill right here. It says he shoots 1 small electric ball, dealing energy damage equal to 300% attack to enemies it passes through. So if it goes all the way through the back row, if it hits 3 heroes, you're doing damage to 3 heroes at the same time. It is a fantastic option for auto attack. I love that. And also the fact that he does it random. If you have both hitting simultaneously, you can shred back rows. That's why people run Stetmann and Tesla and in Kimberly, because you can just completely shred people's back rows. Also, his third skill is going to be increases heroes crit rate by 25%. That's again fantastic. Absolutely love that skill. If you're running Stetmann, if you're running tanks, you could argue that he's the best DPS hero that there is. It's pretty much all the deep dive that there is about heroes. The unfortunate part with Stetmann is, again, you do have to wait a while, and he is not free. You do have to spend the money to get him. There's a lot of pros and cons. But one thing I will remind you guys of is that in season 1, you do unlock drone chips, and I want to make sure that when you guys are running a tank squad, that you're running drone chips for tanks. It may seem silly, but a lot of people don't, and that will definitely change your ability to win fights. I'm obviously running aircraft, so I have an all aircraft, and my second squad is all missile. But if I had a third squad, it would go ahead and be that aircraft or that tank squad chip. So make sure you're doing that. And also, if you're running a tank squad, make sure that you're focusing on just tank. For example, if you're clicking on your hero, you're going to want to focus on tank. If you're clicking or if you're doing your tank mastery, you're going to want to focus there. A lot that you can do to primarily focus on specific heroes. And I do think that tank squad overall is not a bad option. And it's going to be really the only option for people that don't want to spend a lot of money. Unfortunately, the other 2 squads are better. I think both other squads are better. The best bang for your buck definitely has to be the tank squad. I think that there's a lot of pros to it, and it's the easiest one to get all 5 stars. It's the easiest one to max out really quickly. There's just so much pros with it. Unfortunately, it's just not as strong as either of the other 2. With that being said, I'm pretty much going to wrap up this video. I do appreciate you guys sitting here listening to this. It was essentially like a TED Talk for me or a podcast. If you guys did enjoy the video, make sure that you're subscribing to the channel, liking the video down below, and also commenting whether you agree, disagree. What are your thoughts on this? What are your takes? Also, if I'm wrong on something, please correct me. I do like to get the feedback. And I do pin comments if I find out that I'm wrong. So thank you all so much. And that's going to be it for me. Jelly out. Peace.